All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here as part of the Tollgate sixth grade band meeting for next year. We are super excited that you're here and that many of your students and families are on this call, looking to begin their musical journey in the sixth grade band. My name is Greg Benson. I'm the band director at North High School. I also teach beginning band instruments at the sixth grade level. And I'll be hosting this meeting this evening, but there's a team of wonderful colleagues that I'll introduce in just a moment. Before that, just a couple points of etiquette for this evening. If you could make sure that you remain on mute, and if you have any questions during the meeting, that you put them in the chat. You should be able to place them there, and our staff that's on this call will answer your questions in the chat area. So we'll keep monitoring that. And again, thanks for being here. As I mentioned, there's a large team of wonderful educators that be working with your students as they begin their journey in the sixth grade band. And I want to take an opportunity to introduce some of those now. As I mentioned, my name is Greg Benson. I'm one of the band directors at North High School, as well as in the sixth grades across our district. I work with a wonderful colleague in Mr. Chris Carmine, and I want to invite him, he's on this call, to introduce himself and tell you what he does.
Hello, my name is Chris Carmine, and I'm an assistant band director and percussion instructor. I'm at Tollgate, but also Harmon and Lakeview and North.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Carmine. And then also I have another colleague, Mr. Matt Guerreri, who's on this call, who's one of our instructors. Mr. Guerreri, would you like to introduce yourself?
Wrong one. My mic hopefully is working. But I'm the woodwind instructor over at Tollgate, flutes and clarinets. So look forward to meeting your children and excited about the prospect of them being part of our group next year. Thanks, Mr. Benson.
Awesome. So like Mr. Guerreri, I teach a number of the woodwind classes in our sixth grade buildings. And then we have outstanding colleagues that teach our brass classes and teach some of our percussion at Diley Middle School. Those are Mrs. Tracy Perulakar. She teaches the brass classes at Harmon Middle School, and her husband, Dr. Mark Perulakar, who's our PLSD music coordinator. He teaches brass classes at Tollgate Middle School. And then if you are on the track to head to Central High School through Ridgeview, you'll work with these fine individuals. Mr. Nate Stowe, who's the band director at Central High School and does our brass teaching at Diley Middle School, as well as working at Ridgeview. And then Mr. Tim Gorgas, who is our percussion instructor for Central High School, as well as our percussion teacher at Diley Middle School. And then Mr. Matt Hakes, who is our Ridgeview band director and teaches woodwind classes at Diley Middle School. So as you can see, there's a wonderful team of people who are committed to making this sixth grade band experience and the years to come successful for your student and meaningful. So tonight we want to present some information to you that gets you all that you need to know about your student joining the sixth grade band next year. So I want to draw your attention. I'm going to present my screen in a couple of instances here tonight. First of all, I'm going to show you right now, hopefully you can see coming up on your screen now, our Join Pick Bands website. If someone could give me a thumbs up that it's working, that everybody can see that. Good. I think we're on track here. So our Join Pick Band website is supposed to be kind of the hub for everything you need to know about joining the sixth grade band. And particularly, I want to draw your attention to a portion of our website under Get My Instrument. And I'll present it as we finish the meeting here. But there's a parent information letter on this tab, and then you click on that, that'll take you to this letter. This letter outlines all the things you would need to know about beginning band. It outlines who to contact if you have questions about any particular instruments. If you have questions about percussion, if you have questions about acquiring your child's instrument, and when you'll be notified of the instrument they selected. It has information about our reps that we partner with and companies that we partner with to get our instruments for our students. In addition, it lists required materials for each instrument, and it talks about instrument brands, which we'll talk about a little bit later, being very important to make sure that your students get quality instruments that they'll be successful on and that can support their success as they learn. And then it outlines how that we have classes during the school day, which I'll talk more about in a little bit. But that is our outline. And that, again, can be all found on our joinpickbands.com website, which is the hub for our 6th grade bands. So I'm going to stop presenting here and speak to you a little bit about kind of the beginning band basics, the who, why, and what of beginning band. So we're looking for 6th grade students who are looking for a new challenge and want to learn about music, be part of the largest team in the school, and want to have fun making music together. So all of our band classes are for all students, regardless of which junior high school they will be attending and which high school they will subsequently attend. The why of music. So the study of music teaches students creativity, critical thinking, self-motivation, and discipline. So it also teaches students a new mode of describing the world around them. It's an art form much like literature or visual art. And in all of this, students become part of an exceptional peer group. And to show you the people they'll be interacting with and what the skills they'll learn in music class allow them to do, by the time they reach the high school level band program, currently in our high school bands, we have over 40 Decim Decore members, that's top GPA earners across the history of the bands. We have 12 PSAT National Merit finalists, and I believe that number's actually gone up this year. We've had over 60 all-state performers in our band programs at both tracks through both Lakeview and North and Ridgeview and Central. We've had 40% of the National Honor Society members are band students. And believe it or not, we've actually had 2 all-national honor band performers who've earned member in the all-national band. We've had, and we currently have, over 130 band students taking honors courses, over 100 band students taking AP or College Credit Plus courses, and over 130 band students taking at least one elective in addition to band. So there's so much ahead, both in the peer group that will surround your students in both the 6th grade, 7th and 8th and 9th, and all the way through 12th grade, in addition to the things that they can do alongside music and that music unlocks for them in their academic pursuits as well. So what is 6th grade beginning band? Students will begin by expanding on the musical knowledge they have gained in elementary and middle school. They'll focus on learning how to produce characteristic tone and music reading on their instrument. And they'll take those skills and learn how to make music as individuals and also as an ensemble. So it's a multitude of skill building that goes into this start for a great musical journey. So I want to draw your attention now to part of our band website. One more time, let me present my screen here. And it's the Why Band tab. So here you can visit some testimonials from our students, both in the younger grades and the older grades, of why they joined the 6th grade band. Why did they pick the instrument they did? And what's your favorite part about being in band? In addition to that, we list the top 10 reasons to participate in our band programs. And I'll briefly overview them, and then I'll let you explore them on our website. But obviously, creativity is a huge part of music making. It fosters that creative part of our brains. Students will build confidence in what they do. It takes some guts to be able to perform on an instrument, and through all the educational process, they become very good at that and build confidence. Problem solving. That skill is essential in our world. And when you're learning a new skill, you have to problem solve through some challenges as you learn them. And so that's part of being in band. Perseverance, again, comes back to that problem solving. We're going to persevere through some challenges on our instrument, which ultimately become very rewarding. It teaches focus, because to play an instrument as an individual or an ensemble, you have to really work together and focus on a deliberate task to make it great. Of course, nonverbal communication. Band is exactly that. Music is exactly that. Students will learn about receiving constructive feedback and how they would apply that to improve their skills. And they can take that and apply it to their academic course load. They can take that and apply it to other teams they may be a part of. All valuable there. It'll also teach students about collaboration, because they are going to work with their peers to create music at the same time, simultaneously. It'll teach them about dedication, of course, their individual contribution through hard work and practice to be able to contribute to the group. and the accountability of that they'll learn as being accountable to that group to make really great music together. So there's a lot of reasons that band is very valuable. And so we believe that every student should have a music education, and band is one of the best ways they can do that in Pickerington schools. So let me stop presenting here and I'll continue on. So today, during the school day, our students went through an instrument fitting process, and they should have brought home a green sheet to you that indicated what instrument that they were most successful at and that they chose as their first and second choices. If you haven't seen that green sheet, make sure you ask your student about it after this meeting so that you can see kind of the progress and process they went through. So when that fitting process was completed today in school, we invited music specialists and oftentimes retired music teachers, all of whom have extensive experience in fitting students for instruments, to guide your student through the process of trying an instrument. We asked them what they would like to try. They got to try multiple instruments. Some they may have expected they were going to try, and others that they were discovering for the first time. As they were fitting students for their instruments, there's many factors to consider when we pair a student with an instrument. We look at body size, we look at hand size, we look at orthodontia, we look at facial features, only because certain things lend students to more success on certain instruments. And the goal is to find the student's instrument that fits them the best, that they're the most successful on, and they like the sound of. Because if they do those things, then they're going to want to practice and they're going to want to excel on their instrument. All of our kids did an awesome job today. I want to compliment all of you on your students' both maturity and politeness through the whole process. They were very patient and they really had a lot of fun trying their instruments. So at the end of the fitting process, when they finished trying all their instruments, they spoke with a band staff member as they exited the room. And that was either myself or Mr. Guerreri and sometimes Mr. Carmine if they were trying percussion. And we wanted to see what they were best suited for and also gauge their interest in whatever instrument that might be. And as I mentioned, the goal is to place them on an instrument that is going to be the most successful for them and they like the sound of, because that combination is the winning combination for kids to remain enrolled in band and excited about music. So we had great conversations with your kids, and they brought that green paper home for you today to show you exactly that process, the evidence of that fitting process. So hopefully they were excited and they showed you what they were ready to play after the band fitting today. So in Pickerington, we start 5 groups of instruments or 5 instruments as part of our beginning band program. We start the flute, we start the clarinet, those are our woodwind instruments. We also start the trumpet and the trombone, those are our brass instruments. And we also start percussion. And percussion is a multitude of instruments, which you're going to hear described by Mr. Carmine here in just a few moments. So those 5 groups of instruments, what they do is they allow us not only the foundational building blocks, but then expands into some additional instruments down the road. So as students were going through this process, I want to make you aware of how we help to guide students towards that selection. So all of our classes have target enrollment numbers. So for each instrument, we need a balanced band. We need a certain quantity of each instrument. And we want students to love that instrument, but we have to be careful in some ways, because if you think about having 43 piccolos and 75 snare drums, that would be a very unique sounding band. And I don't know of anyone who would want to go hear that concert. So what we want to do is balance our students across all instruments so that they can holistically have the best experience together playing their each individual selected instrument for the balanced instrumentation of the group. So as students today, we're selecting from those 5 instruments, again, flute, clarinet, trumpet, trombone, and percussion. And all of those were available for them to try today. In addition, they were presented on Friday during the band fitting some additional options and kind of how they relate to those starter instruments. So if your student at Friday, when we demonstrated the instruments at the recruitment assembly prior to today's fitting, was interested in playing the horn or euphonium, trumpet is a great instrument for them to start on in one of our 5 starter instruments. Okay, if they're interested in the oboe, bassoon, or saxophone, they want to start on a woodwind instrument, and usually that lends itself from clarinet or flute. So we ask those instruments If they're interested in, again, oboe, bassoon, or saxophone down the line, that they start on flute or clarinet. And then if they're interested in euphonium or tuba, euphonium also goes by the name baritone. Those are our lower sounding instruments in the band. We ask that they start on trombone. All of those foundational instruments lead very directly to those expanded instruments. And we maintain many of those expanded instruments in our own personal inventory, or not our own personal, our own school inventories, so that as students grow from perhaps trombone to tuba, for example, the family and the student does not have to purchase a tuba. We provide that equipment as the student evolves in their music education, which is a pretty awesome thing. So, as I mentioned, we start those 5 instruments: flute, clarinet, trumpet, trombone, and percussion. Speaking of percussion, I want Mr. Carmine to speak a little bit about percussion classes. Percussion fitting was a separate event today, and it involves a multitude of instruments, but I won't spoil what Mr. Carmine has to share, but I want to invite him to talk a little bit about the percussion courses he instructs and what percussionists have to look forward to if that's the instrument your student is selected for. Mr. Carmine.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Thank you very much. We really enjoyed seeing all your students today in school, and hope that students really enjoyed exploring all the instruments. The most important thing regarding percussion is for students interested in percussion and their parents to understand that percussion, as Mr. Benson alluded to, is a big family of instruments. And that makes it pretty cool and fun in my book. But it is also a variety of instruments you get to play. Very cool. Instead of just one, which I like. However, that does mean more practice for percussion instruments, percussion students. Being in percussion means you practice 2 main instruments in 6th grade, snare and bells. And in 7th grade, we add timpani as a 3rd member of the percussion family, major family, and then many other auxiliary instruments: tambourine, triangle, woodblock, cymbals, all kinds of things. And it's really cool, but it's a lot to manage and a lot to practice. So that's something to keep in mind going into thinking you have an interest in percussion. And so you and or your child may have thought you were simply going to be playing the drums, but it's a whole lot more than that. And so we don't just play drums, and we don't actually use the drum set, for example, at all in band. So if your child showed potential today for percussion in our fittings, you're going to receive an email from me with some further instructions. And I'm actually working on doing all that right now as Mr. Benson was talking. So I hopefully can get that out to you tonight. Those students identified as a possibly good match for percussion are invited to a second, more complete fitting. We can take a little more time that will assist us in making the best decision for them in their instrument selection and helping us find that instrument that is best for them. And if your child is interested in exploring percussion further, then the next step is to schedule that fitting, and that information will be in the email. However, if they feel confident that they have sort of focused in or locked in on a certain other instrument already, and they've kind of decided that, that's totally fine. And you can just reply to me in the email that they've decided on trumpet or trombone or cello or whatever. It is important to note that students who will attend Lakeview and North will meet with me for that evaluation, but students that attend Ridgeview and Central will meet with Mr. Gorgas, their percussion instructor, for that fitting. And again, this is regardless of which middle school building, Harmon or Tollgate, students will attend and in what capacity and everything. And if you're unsure where your home falls in the district attendance maps, you can refer to the map boundaries on their website, or you can just ask me when I email. And if you have any questions, I know that Mr. Benson, my email is available on the website and all kinds of things. And so just let me know if you have any questions. And thank you very much.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Carmine. So as Mr. Carmine mentioned, of that 5 group of instruments, percussion was a separate fitting today. And if your student was identified as a strong percussionist, which we need strong percussionists, you'll be receiving contact from him and or Mr. Gorgas, depending on your track, about their future opportunities in percussion. Speaking of that notification, A director will confirm your student's instrument selection with your family by no later than Saturday, May 14th, and very likely much sooner. So be looking for your email for that confirmation of your student's instrument selection, and based on how they did at the fitting and what they selected as their preference of instrument before you go about purchasing or renting an instrument. So as we launch into that opportunity about how we acquire an instrument for next year, be mindful of that detail, that we will make sure that you receive that confirmation of what instrument your student will be playing in which class next year. So let's talk a little bit about acquiring an instrument or purchasing or renting, that process involved in getting an instrument. So most of our students do acquire their own instrument to play in class. And that usually comes through a rental process. Some have a family instrument that may be laying around, and we'll talk about that. Some may elect to purchase their first instrument, but knowing that this is a brand new skill and a brand new class, we do offer great partnerships with our colleagues over at Redig Music to provide a rental opportunity so your student can kind of test drive this instrument and see if it's for them. Most of our students, better than 90% of our students, once they start in class and start in on their instrument, if we've done the selection process correctly, they stick with that instrument. And so it's a rent-to-own program, which we'll outline in a moment. But I want to outline a couple of important details about the acquiring instrument piece. First of all, again, wait for that confirmation email from a band director before acquiring an instrument. And I want to make a very emphasized point not to purchase any instrument that you can't test. Either online or other purchasing options are a good source if the seller will allow you to return the instrument if you are not satisfied. But if you're looking to purchase an instrument from a vendor or online, it's dangerous without being able to test it. Because of the quality, we want to make sure that there's a quality instrument in your students' hands that will last them through the 6th grade and beyond. Most importantly, we don't want it to suffer and break and therefore cause inhibitants on your students' ability to succeed. So if you have an instrument that is in your family that has been, perhaps you've got a flute in the closet downstairs, whatever it might be, or you've acquired an instrument or see an opportunity to acquire an instrument for your student, we as the band directors are more than happy to test drive that instrument for you to see if it's in good working order and give you advice about how to perhaps get it there if your student wishes to use that instrument. So we would be happy to assist you there. As we launch into the renting opportunity for instruments, again, most students, the lion's share of our students rent their instrument in the 6th grade. I want to emphasize that all monies towards a rental apply to the price of the instrument. So you want to make sure that whatever company you choose to use to rent, and we do partner with Redig Music, who I'll introduce our rep for here shortly, you check to make sure that they have that option, that all of your rental money applies towards the purchase price of the instrument should your student continue in band. Also, you want to check for any hidden fees. Redig does not have any of those, but if you choose to use a different vendor, we want you to be aware of those. We want you to reference that parent information letter that's on that band website on the Get My Instrument tab to make sure you have all the equipment your student would need listed in that letter. It's especially important that your student gets the correct mouthpiece. It makes playing much easier for the student, and we carefully select those mouthpieces based on their propensity for success and longevity. So that mouthpiece is a critical piece. And also make sure that whatever vendor you choose offers loaners for repairs that may take place during any time the instrument may need repair, and Redig does include that in their process. So we want students to always have an instrument in class so they can continue to play and not fall behind. All those are really important pieces. So with that, I want to invite Jeremy Ewing. He's our representative from Redig Music, and he coordinates all of the help with our fitting and the ordering process and delivery of our instruments. Redig Music has been around in Central Ohio and beyond for a long time. They're a very reputable company, and we trust them with the quality of instruments to put in students' hands. So while you're not required to exclusively partner with them, we do highly recommend that you go with Redig Music, and we'll outline that process. But before that, I want you to hear from Jeremy Ewing and allow him to introduce himself. He's our representative for Pickerington Local Schools from Redig Music. Jeremy.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Ewing. It's really nice to meet everybody. Hopefully that if you have any questions, you feel like you can reach out. The biggest place you can go to is redigmusic.com. The first place you can go when you decide to rent an instrument is on the rent to own portion of the website, which is on the left side of that website. Very easy to go through. Everything that you do will all be very interactive between the school that you're going to be at. And then when you decide to do that, everything will be delivered to the school itself. The instruments that we have to offer to the students are all ones that are approved by the teachers, and that are ones that are made by reputable vendors that are going to make so that students are going to play the best that they possibly can from day one. Know that if there's ever any problems with those instruments, either they're covered on their service and maintenance or just the warranty of the instrument itself. So as Mr. Benson alluded to, be very careful when you select your instrument that you know that you're going to get one that's going to come from a vendor that's going to be able to back up those instruments that are made and produced. Oftentimes, I'm just referring to if you see an instrument at a big box store or online, those are one-time made instruments that when they break, they're over. So I just want to make sure that you have an option that way. Our rental plan is set up in a manner where the first 3 months are very inexpensive for you. And then after that, you go into the rent to own portion of things where you can decide if you want to purchase the instrument at a very big discount or continue to rent the instrument. As students oftentimes change their minds. So keep in mind that everything that happens in regards to your transactions with Redig Music, I deliver all those things out to the school. So you never actually have to physically go into the store. If you have any questions where you feel like you can't get them answered, always feel free to call the store. We're located in Dublin at the Sawmill Parkway in 270 at Trader Joe's Plaza. We can answer any questions that you might have there. Again, all the information about how to rent is on the website itself. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with each one of you, and thank you for your time tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. And as he mentioned, we're going to outline that process for you tonight where you can acquire an instrument through Redig Music. They're a fantastic vendor, and it does avoid the quote unquote Amazon instrument that will oftentimes be that one-time made instrument and could very easily break in the first week that your student plays it. So they provide quality instruments that we've all vetted as educators and played on, and we know that they will last. So want to emphasize as we show you this process here in just a moment, that it's a quick and easy ordering process once you get that confirmation about how to get your instrument. All money is refundable if you find another instrument or other situations beyond where up to the point where you've paid that instrument at that time. You can exchange or return your instrument if you need to, and oftentimes students will expand to a new instrument, and that could be an option for you. There's no penalty for stopping early, and it's very easy to get started with a quick deposit. So I want to show you that process right now so you're aware of it. Again, wait for that confirmation email from their band director about what instrument they'll be playing, but I'll show it to you now so you can see how we've made this very accessible to you. So I'm going to go back to our website here. And if you go to the Get My Instrument tab, you'll see the parent information letter is right here. But right underneath this logo from Redig Music, it says Get My Instrument. Click to get started. Okay. And when we do that, you'll see that it immediately populates you to the redigmusic.com website. And it's actually rental.redigmusic.com. And so what you'll do is you'll click on this band logo here. And then this is set up so that you have to do no driving to pick up your instrument. They partner with Pickerington Schools so that everything will be delivered for your first day of class for your students. So you would select Pickerington Local Schools, which I'm going to do now so I can walk you through this process. And then you would select your school. Okay, so Tollgate here. Okay, once you select that, you go next and you would select the instrument your student is going to play. So once they've got that confirmation email from us, or you've got that confirmation email from us, perhaps your student's a flute student, you would select flute. And from there, you can see that to start off, your one payment of $12 includes the entire first 3 months, free service and maintenance if the instrument needs repaired, and free pickup and delivery to our school, which is pretty awesome. Then you'll click next here. It'll list some items that we recommend. Your student will need their instrument and their what we call method book, which is the beginner book on their instrument. They can include that at Rettig for you. And then a care kit that's relatively inexpensive but helps you maintain the care of the instrument. Once you've all selected your options there, you can go next. And then it explains all the rent-to-own policies after your first 3 months. In addition, how you can earn discounts depending on how you choose to pay moving forward. Once that's all selected, you continue down the path here. You would agree to their agreements here, the priority service and maintenance agreement, and select your payment method. And once you do that, you would then click next. And then what you want, this is the most important part, you select here where you want your student's instrument delivered. So we want you want to choose school here, and then you fill out all of your applicant information. And once you submit that and are approved, everything goes through to Rettig, and then they take care of the rest, getting your student's instrument in your student's hands. So they are a fantastic resource. We partner with them for a reason. They have a track record of success and quality, and are very reliable. Mr. Ewing comes to our schools once a week, every week, and asks us what he can do to better serve our band program, supplies we need. I physically see Jeremy every week, which is a really fantastic thing, and that's why we partner with Rettig Music there. So that's our process for finding and then acquiring your instrument through our Get My Instrument tab on our band website, joinpickbands.com. So again, you can choose to acquire your instrument that way through Rettig. We don't require that you use them as a rep. However, we highly recommend them. We do caution you against instruments you would find online at other vendors like Amazon, for example. Those instruments will not suffice for beginning band. And then also, if you have another instrument laying around, remember the band directors are willing to take a look at that to make sure it's in good working order so that your students can be successful on day one in class. We do have a limited supply of school-owned instruments. If there's a significant financial hardship, we certainly would be willing to help with that. Just contact a band director and we can do our best to assist you there. So as we come to the conclusion of our meeting here, I want to address a couple of frequently asked questions about band. One of them is orthodontics. So if my student has orthodontia, is it going to affect their ability to play their instrument? I can assure you that during the fitting process, we took a careful look at that. And for many, many, many years, myself included, when I had braces, I played my instrument through all of that. So it's about the right selection of the right instrument for the right student in the right situation. But any instruments with careful planning and fitting can be successful for any student with orthodontia. So having braces is no problem to be in band. The other question we often get is, when does band meet? And what is the after school commitment for band? So in the 6th grade, we're really fortunate in Pickerington to have all of our 6th grade band classes during the school day. So your student will have 2 to 3 classes a week, usually on alternating days in the school week and in the school day. So they'll have a 40-minute band class that is part of their academic day. They don't miss any class time. They don't miss any elective. Band is just a class that fits in during their school day, and especially during their E and I time. So there are no after-school practices for the 6th grade. There's no after-school rehearsal that your student is signing up for. We do, however, do 2 concerts throughout the year. One is in December. That is the one after-school commitment in the first semester. And then a May concert to conclude the year, the other after-school commitment. So as you can see, for students that play athletics or in clubs or in Boy Scouts, whatever it might be, band is super accessible. We work really hard, and our school district works really hard to support that endeavor because we believe music is for everyone. So this is a great thing for Pickerington schools and for your student who will be joining the band program. So lastly, at the end of this meeting, if you've not done this already, make sure that you talk to your student about that green sheet they brought home, which indicates how their fitting went today and their first instrument selection and their first choice and second choice. And then we'll be reaching out to you about that confirmation of instrument. And then in addition, I want to present my screen one final time. So hopefully you can see here on the home page, and I'll put this in the chat as well, on joinpickbands.com, we want you to go to this tab right here that says Sign Me Up. And this will take you to a Google form, which you can fill out, which will capture some information for us that we can contact you and interact with you about your students' enrollment in band. It is not a commitment to for sure sign up for band. It just helps us be in the conversation and able to dialogue with you to provide the best experience. So it will ask you to select your student's first choice instrument and their second choice. That's where that green sheet comes in. But go ahead and submit that so that we can then reach out to you and then you to us with any questions. And that helps us track how students are doing signing up for band, and so that we can provide and make sure that they're in the correct classes and that the school knows that they'll be joining the band program. Again, it's not a commitment. It can be changed at any time, but that helps us get started to make sure everything is in the right place for your students. So even while you're waiting on that instrument confirmation, please go to that Sign Me Up tab on our Join Pick Bands website. So I will put that website in the chat right now in case it's not there already, and you can access that directly. All the things we talked about today can be accessed through that joinpickbands.com. It is there in the chat, including how to sign up, get your instrument, and all the contacts and parent information letter you would need to know all the things and pieces and parts of band. So participation in band is such an awesome opportunity for students. It opens so many doors for them, both academically and socially. And your student is about to embark on a journey that will last them their entire academic career and beyond. They will make their best friends in band and do something constructive, productive, and meaningful, making music together. So we hope that your student is excited about joining band. We're so excited that we got to see all of their faces light up as they tried instruments today. And we want to be the best resource for you as parents and students to make all of those wonderful musical journeys start off successfully. So if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to a band staff member. We'll remain on this call as we conclude here too. If you have any additional questions in the chat, we will stay on for a few minutes, about 10 to 15 here, and answer questions there. But we hope that you've enjoyed this presentation tonight and that your students are excited about band. We look forward to beginning our musical journey with them, and we could not be more excited for them to join the Pickerington 6th grade bands. So thank you all for being here this evening. Have a wonderful night. And again, please reach out with any questions, and we can't wait to get started in band. Thank you. Have a good night.